What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the broader markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free NVIDIA stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of NVIDIA. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free NVIDIA. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon, in just about 10 days from now. Anyways, looking at NIO, we have a very, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like pattern. And this in turn is once again going to lead to a potential bounce if we could get back above 5.1. If we reclaim that, there could be an attempt to get higher. But if we can't reclaim this, there's going to be a risk of us rejecting and still coming back down to fill this gap. Now, overall, the problem is that NIO has not been able to hold above 5.1 to hold above our 20 EMA, and the green line is where NIO keeps on rejecting. So there is a risk of it coming back down to fill this gap and coming back down here if the inverse head and shoulders like pattern fails us. And there is still some downside risk in my opinion. So we're going to see a big test heading into next week. As of right now, there's not really anything new on the news. We're basically seeing the same things about NIO's deliveries and some fears about their margins that's making up a lot of headlines. But for next week, we just have some inflationary expectations data on Monday. On Tuesday, we have the JOLTS job openings reports. And on Wednesday, we basically have the FOMC report that's coming out. We have the interest rate decision, the economic projections, followed by the press conference by Jerome Powell. And besides that, for Thursday, we basically have some minor data coming out. We just have some jobs numbers. And finally, we also happen to have just a couple of Fed speakers for Friday. But Tuesday and Wednesday will be very crazy, especially with FOMC. We know the Fed will cut, but we also have to wait and see what happens with the economic projections reports and what Jerome Powell has to say. Finally, there's not really much else that's coming out. Earnings are going to be kind of minor. We just have like Campbell's, GameStop, and lots of retail earnings alongside Costco on Thursday. And right now, fear makes up the majority of sentiment. Momentum is at neutral, and also the puts call option ratio is at fear. So we're going to see what happens as time goes on. So with that being said, NIO has an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. To be bullish, you want to see us get back above 5.18 if that breaks, returning back up. If not, we could reject. I do see a risk of this potentially rejecting, and we might be coming back down to fill this gap. Even though the inverse head and shoulders is attempting to form, we've done this many times only to reject again. So unless we get back above 5.1, the odds do favor us rejecting to fill the gap at 4.8. I also feel that I'm a little bit concerned about SPY. I think we're nearing a top here as we're forming wicks here. We also have a bearish divergence that keeps on developing, suggesting there's going to be a risk of downside to 675 heading into next week. Now, it depends on FOMC, but that's very likely. The QQQ filled this gap up here at 629 only to reject, and we're consolidating, so expect that to continue before we start dipping back down to 613. The IWM has tough resistance at 252. We have not been able to break that, so the odds favor consolidation to dip back down to 248. ES also has a rejection forming right here around 6,900 unless we break that. If we don't, we could be dipping back down for 68, 63 or below if that keeps on falling. NQ is also rejecting right here. We have this resistance around 25,800. If that fails us, we could be dipping back down to 25,630. There is some downside risk. Bitcoin is looking bearish. It failed to hold above 90,000, so I do see a risk of this returning back down to 85,000. Tesla's holding up right here, but keep in mind we do tend to reject near the 460s. And if we can't continue to break past 460, there's going to be a lot of consolidation and a risk of Tesla turning back down towards 444. Nvda, it's consolidating. We're going to see if we break 185 to be bullish or not, but I just expect some sideways price action. Apple is consolidating between 280 and 278. If that breaks, if 278 fails us, there's going to be a risk of it dipping back down towards, I would say 275 looking at the daily time frame. On AMD, we're showing some weakness. We're consolidating, but there's a risk of it dipping back down to 210. Coinbase has support right here at 270. We're going to see if this holds. If not, we could be dipping to 264. Amazon's also making lower highs here. Expect some consolidation. If that fails, we could be dipping back down to 227. Meta is also looking a bit more bullish, but there is going to be a risk of 666 to be retested. We'll see if it bounces there. Google has support at 318. We'll see if this bounces. And then Microsoft is also trading sideways. Unless we get back above 486, we could be looking for another rejection. Finally, the VIX. It's forming a bullish falling wedge. I think it's going to break out of this soon, and that could be a sign the market will be forming a top as well. I think that the market forms a top soon, and as it drags down, this could also cause NIO to drop. We're on a big downtrend unless we hold up at 5.1. We're favoring consolidation to dip on NIO back down to 4.8 to fill that gap. With that being said, we'll see what happens with FOMC heading into next week. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.